No, it is. It's just when they changed it this morning.
Do you know anybody who can fix clocks? Maybe just somebody will give us a
If I
bill.
fix it, we'll just buy a new one.
Got Ross tonight? I'm glad he said something. I thought we had plenty of time.
Yeah, I was thinking, man, we got 5 minutes.
I know. Hey, Hawkeyes. Yeah,
For 2 games, we're.
yeah.
The sad thing is, we should be Illinois.
I listened to our Panthers, though, Lauren.
They're not doing good.
Oh, no, they're doing fine, but God, they got beat by the #1 team in the nation on a last-second field goal.
We'll see where that goes, Stephen.
Yeah.
Well, if they win, they got a shot at the playoffs.
Yeah, true. Practice.
Call the meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please, Mary Beth.
Nelson. Orison. Larson. Wunschel. Hanson.
Here.
Reed. Volk.
Here.
Item 3 on the agenda. We have with us tonight representatives from the Chamber, and we're going to hear an update by Olivia Baxter, the new Marketing and Tourism Coordinator with the Spencer Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, it's on. Okay. Hi, I'm Olivia Baxter. I just started at the Chamber at the end of August as the Marketing and Tourism Coordinator. And Clay County Tourism actually also just became a new thing under the Chamber earlier this year. Since I've started, we have been working with F8 Creative to create a new logo for Clay County Tourism. So we are here to present that tonight, and I will pass it over to Jason from F8.
Thank you, Olivia. We always get excited at F8 when we can help our community, our city, and our region. So we get excited about those things. We know it's very personal to us. I've been here 13 years and really love this community. So we put a lot of heart into this. So let's get started. All right, gonna let you in behind the curtain a little bit. I want to show you a little bit of the design process. I want to show you the new logo and maybe some of its uses. So a lot of what we do before we even get started is the discovery process. So here shows the old logo, the Clay County, Iowa logo, along with some of the logos from our region. To the left, going down, some of the counties around us, a lot of text, some graphic scenes. It's kind of is used quite a bit there. Over to our right is some of the ones across Iowa that are being used, colorful. You can kind of tell some of the ones kind of down on the bottom are probably been around for a little while. I call that kind of the 90s look. We depict a scene. But what you're seeing a lot more now is simple. And very legible, clear. The ones up there, the Door County was one that Sharifa from the Chamber really liked. Starting to see just a really clean, usable, legible font, so it's easily read and colorful. So next slide. Some of the things we like to gather up are keywords to influence our design. So here, during our first meeting with Sharifa, I kind of write down some of the words that really pop. And then our design is guided by those. So welcome, attract, promote, enjoy, cultivate, encourage, grow, prosper, establish, legacy, heritage, and hardworking. It's a little bit different than some of the other projects we did. We're talking about the whole county, really trying to capture the whole county, the ideas, and this had a lot more uses. Down below are some of the logos we have done for the city of Spencer and the Chamber of Commerce. There again, we like to use color, legible fonts, and maybe some exciting colors like we did with the Chamber with a pinwheel. Next slide. Another thing that she had mentioned that we'll be promoting activities, attractions. The fair is really big in this area, business opportunities, fostering growth. We're talking about the whole county, not just Spencer. And then along with that, we try to think of ways how we're going to advertising. What if we started a business here? What if we moved? When I came from Des Moines, I had to write a list of things on a piece of paper to get my wife to move here. And as they got crossed off, there was one left. We had to sell our house during the big drop, and we finally sold it. So there was no reason not to move here. So that's some things. We want to welcome people, and we want to welcome back people to our area. There's a lot of history and culture in our area. There's a sense of community. We want to sell our lifestyle to people, our way of life. Let's not be fake. Let's be real. We got great schools and health care, and we got great natural resources in our area. Next slide. Then I kind of start going into the design process. I do a font study. I always like to pick fonts that are clean and clear and legible. Over on the right are some ones I kind of liked. The ones on the left are the ones that I liked a lot that I wanted to incorporate. A lot of times we'll mix styles to make the contrast. I really wanted to use a personal type of font in some way or form to make it more personable. And as you can see, this always welcome. That was a tagline we kind of started to do really made sense to us, is to have this personal idea of always welcoming people here in our county and our communities around the state and county. Next slide. And then we look at colors. So we look at fonts and then colors. This is one of my favorite parts. We kind of settled on Americana color personality, is what I call it. So the one on the left is actually a really dark navy, not black, kind of a red, barn red, and all colors have meaning: a harvest gold, a cream, a country blue, and a kind of a mossy green. This was kind of a challenge for us because a lot of these colors, the Americana versions, are dark and saturated, but when you put that on a dark background, you really want it to pop out, so we kind of had to bring them up the density, because you really want to create density with a good logo. It's got to look good on white, and it's got to look good on dark. Okay, next slide. Some of the messaging we wanted to incorporate. So it's more than just a logo, it's a brand. We want to sell this brand to people. So instead of having a tagline, taglines aren't used as much anymore, so we wanted to use branding that conveyed sayings. The Always Welcome was a big one. We want people to enjoy, experience, explore, and we want our county to be a destination for people to come and visit. You ready for the new logo? All right, here we go. Here it is, Clay County Tourism. We've got a star. We got this, next slide. Let's go next slide. So we got the shape of our county is square. Whoop-de-doo, right? Not real interesting, but very bold and blocky. But that's the shape of our county, just like a lot of other counties. Next slide. We've got a star in the middle, a beacon, a shining star, an attraction, something to follow. And then we got not so much compass, but we have this coordinates to explore. And then there again, we're using these Americana color personalities. We're always welcoming, wholesome feeling of being home. I don't know, when you go home, you know, there might be a quilt that somebody made, and this might be representative of a pattern in a quilt, sewn together, collaborative, brought together. All right, next. And it'll also be used outside of tourism to promote the county as a logo, Clay County, Iowa. So you will see that quite a bit. Next slide. There'll also be versions you'll need to do it this way with the text off to the right. For the tourism will be used internally for like items when they're out and about, business cards, employee shirts. But the outward facing portion of the logo will be promoting Clay County, Iowa. This will be on the website, social marketing, and giveaway items. A good logo should always look good in black and white or solid color. This one pulls it off very well. Less is more. You're starting to see that in design. It used to be, let's throw every filter and every design element in our programs at something where to be really recognizable, simple is going to last a while. All right, here's some just use cases. A lot of times we like to show mock-ups of things and how it can be used. And here's just an example of how it could be used on a business card for Olivia. We actually got these printed and they turned out really cool. So we're excited to show those later. Next one. Just on some other opportunities to do things for Clay County Tourism. There again, on a dark shirt, we wanted to make sure those colors popped out, and then the text reverses to white so it's very visible. And then just some other items as we promote the brand and using some of those messaging opportunities. Here's an idea these guys came up with coasters that we could take to different places, establishments, so they could see kind of, you know, how we're going to promote the area, and some other items. Here's just kind of a mild refresh. We could still use the existing website without redoing everything. We could change just the logo, some of the font styles. This is similar to what we have already, but we could inject the brand to that fairly easy. And that's the bottom of that website, and then you can see how it's used, reversed out just to white. And then here's some existing ad that was placed in, what was the name of that? Trails and Tales. As you can see, it being less information, look at how that pops out so much more. You don't have to tell the whole story in a little ad. It drives me crazy. My eye just directly goes right to that. So that's something design-wise we need to think about, say less, and graphically do more. And that's it. That's the new logo. So I appreciate your time, guys.
Thank you, Jason.
I will also add a couple more things. So we actually have some coasters, if anyone wants to see them. Our plan with these is to hopefully get some to every restaurant, bar, establishment in the county. So not just in Spencer, because we really want to promote the entire county. And, you know, personally, I loved the coasters because they're kind of something that you can take with you as well. That's free, and so it's just kind of a fun thing. And then going forward, we're hoping to create some more merchandise, maybe some cups, some T-shirts, buttons, things that people, when they come to visit, can purchase and take with them. Yeah. And then we're going to also present this to the supervisors next week. So.
Okay. So anybody have any questions for Olivia or Jason on Clay County Tourism or the design or anything like that? So, yeah,
Nice job, yep.
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you very much. Appreciate you coming in and sharing with us. Okay, item 4 is the consent agenda. Item A is a motion to approve the city council minutes of October 17, 2022. B, there are no liquor license. C, a resolution authorizing permanent transfer of funds of budgeted transfers for the month ending October 31, 2022. D, a resolution approving a 28E agreement with Spencer Hospital for the navigator position. E is a motion to approve Hepner Trust distribution for 2022. Upper Des Moines Crisis Fund, $3,500. Daybreakers Kiwanis, $2,000. High Noon Kiwanis, $2,000. Spencer JC's, $2,000. Feed Our Children Program, $2,000. YMCA Splash Program, $2,000. And After 5 Kiwanis, $1,500 for a total of $15,000. F is a motion to approve change order number 1 to the 2022 HMA overlay project to reflect as-built project quantities for a decrease of $21,112.82. G is a resolution accepting work on the 2022 HMA overlay project. H is a motion to approve CG contracting as a subcontractor on the 2022 North Water Quality Project perimeter curb and gutter. I is a motion to approve annual urban renewal report for fiscal year 2022. J is a motion to approve a solid waste pickup purchase from Don Pearson Ford for $45,484. This is a CIP item. K is a motion to approve an engineering contract with Cruz Kate Nelson for the 2023 landfill cell E. This is a CIP item as well. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made by Lauren. Second by Tom. Any discussion?
Yeah, Dan, could you advise on the navigator position? Are we committing tonight to 3 years at 25,000, or is this year to year?
I believe it's year to year, but I think in discussions, I think we're committing to the 3 years anyway. I think if something comes up, we can, but I think that during the discussions, we were committing for 3 years. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Don, what, I guess the agreement, I see section 7, funds withheld, but I mean, in your opinion, what would necessarily dictate that? If in year 2, we're not seeing any advantage to this, do you believe that we're in a position to step out?
Yes, I mean, you evaluate the performance of the navigator under the program, and you could conclude that it wasn't meeting the goals that you understood was going to be met or providing the services. This would be sufficient to authorize the expenditure over 3 years, but subsequent councils could change that. So to answer your question, it's really in 2 parts. Yes, this would authorize 3 years of expenditures at $25,000 a year, but as councils annually or more frequently review, you have some options.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Dan, on the same mention, who else is involved with this program besides the city of Spencer?
The county's involved in it, Season Center's involved in it.
Is the county involved individually, or is it a 6-county deal that they're putting in for all together?
I believe the county is individually, but they're just moving some mental health money around.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the county individually is in on it for the same amount we are, I believe.
Okay.
And then the hospital.
And the hospital, of course, yes. That's going to be their employees. So.
Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, consent agenda is approved. Item 5, public hearings. We have one public hearing tonight. Item A is a public hearing on a budget amendment number 1 to fiscal year 2023 budget. I declare the public hearing now open. Are there any written comments against?
There are none.
Any oral comments against? Any written comments in favor of?
We have none.
Any oral comments in favor of? I declare the public hearing now closed. Item 1 is a resolution to approve budget amendment number 1 to fiscal year 2023 budget.
I'll make a second.
Okay. Is that Tom? And second, Ron?
Ron, yep.
Okay. Any discussion?
Maybe Dan or Brian might be the reason why we have to, are going through this. Would it be, Brian probably would be more on board on this, right?
The reason the amendment's coming up is, as you know, the council approved the purchase of the land up at the North Y. That was an unbudgeted expense, and so, we're required to budget anytime we will exceed, the allocated official budget. So, we're amending the budget to include the purchase of the land to give us the authority to spend it. And then, once we know the construction project and that, that part will also be included in a budget amendment, later in the spring.
Thanks for it.
Okay. Anyone else? Any other questions? If not, please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Resolution passes. Item 6, old business, there is none. Item 7, under new business. Item A is a motion to approve the Clay County Board of Supervisors to assign the tax sale certificate to the City of Spencer and agree to abatement of the 1993 PCC paving project number 1 assessment, mowing and snow removal assessments. And I think Don had a memo in the council packet for all of the council members on this particular item. Motion made by Tom.
Second.
Second by Donovan. Any discussion?
So Don, are we seeing this as the first step in, I guess, what, demolishing and removing this home?
Yes. Alec did inspect the home and concluded that it wasn't reasonably salvageable. So the only choice is to demolish it and at least get rid of the nuisance and have a lot.
And I guess, clarify for me, who currently owns it then? Does the county currently have ownership of it? The city, the son?
Well, it's still in the name of the decedent, but the county has received a tax sale certificate. And the tax sale certificate can be converted into a deed of ownership. That's a process that takes about 120 days. And if you approve this, then the county will assign that to the city. We have to give some notices, publish a notice in the paper, and eventually, as I say, in about 4 months, obtain the deed, and then the city will own the property.
And so Brian, I think Don did a nice job of kind of alerting us to the fact that this might come with some pretty substantial expense. So where would these funds come from if we were to take this on and then demolish the property once we took over the deed?
They'd come from our economic development reserve fund that we hold for these things.
And then Dan, I guess I don't recall this being in front of me in the last year. Was this before the council previous to tonight?
Not that I know of. I hadn't heard of it until it came up, same time as you guys did, so. But this is very old. I don't remember exactly how old it's been.
Well, I would personally like to table it. I don't know if any of us have had an opportunity to speak with one another about this, but my concern here is that we are about to take over a property with no said plan that obviously is gonna have substantial expense to get rid of. I appreciate why, but we have no plan as to what we would do with the lot, and currently, I think we have a handful of lots that the city owns that we aren't moving, aren't marketing, and aren't having anything but it's sitting there, and I'm concerned about taking on another property.
We are already racking up expenses on this, so every time we mow and shovel snow, we're holding all those expenses, and we have been for probably 5, 6 years, so, I can't remember when the owner deceased, but I know when Robin was here, we had this conversation among staff of there was something, because it's been deteriorating for a number of years, and we are holding up in it, every year we're racking up against expenses against this, so I guess, as we look at it, this is one way to eliminate and stop our, enforcement, because again, like I said, we've mowed it probably, 3 or 4 times this summer, and then we'll shovel it, obviously depending on the number of snow, and we know that we have to, because there is no property, there's no estate to move it to, so, just additional, so it's not like not doing this is we're not gonna save money or we're gonna save expense, we're racking up charges every year, and that's what part of it is the mowing and snow removal assessments that's just on our standard, and we're assessing those every time, and so we still have expense with the property, whether we don't go through with this or not until a proper owner is identified.
And we've done this before, put them up for bids on demolition. Are we looking at around 12 to 15,000? That seems to, or do we have any idea? I mean, anybody, some of the old ones I know we've done, that kind of seems where the ballpark where they fall in. Not knowing this house, I don't think it's a huge house, so.
Within the last 6 months, we did this with a fire-damaged home that had been standing for several years. And I think the costs in that particular home, I don't know if Adam remembers for sure, might have been about 25,000.
You got it down to,
And this isn't a good thing for anybody.
No.
It's just, there isn't any other solution apparent. The county's not gonna do anything. Nobody that could claim ownership is gonna do anything, so I think there are 2 things that'll happen. Either it'll continue to sit there as it has since 2016, or we'll demolish it.
If we don't do anything and it sits, then it's our liability, correct? And anything that would happen to anybody if they got inside or,
Not necessarily, because we don't own it at this point. We haven't assumed possession other than to go in and mow.
And I haven't asked this question to Adam or anybody in the planning or nuisance, but I would assume that the neighbors have not been happy with this property as well. I'm sure we've gotten some complaints. Would that be correct to assume, Adam?
Very familiar with this property, complaints, neighbors on both sides. I believe it's 800 square foot property. And to touch on that, I think it was just north of that $25,000 mark for the demolition you had referred to. So comparable style structure, a little bit smaller, but yes, fielding constant complaints. I think the mowing number would have been upwards maybe 8 times, I believe, and then abated for trees as well, and then additional snow removal, so.
does that demolition include removing any basement and filling it in? Or
That, I don't have the exact on that. That was just the previous quote I just looked at. And then we'd have to probably figure in the asbestos abatement as well. Utility capping, so on and so forth.
Hey, Adam, what would the ballpark estimate be for the value of the property once it's cleared?
That I would have to get as well. I couldn't
Do
tell
we
you.
have any idea what's around it?
Oh, 100,000, if there's a property on it. To
The
comparable
assessor,
in size.
the assessor has a value of 9,300 on it for the
For
land.
the land.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, so, okay, thank you, Adam. Okay, any other discussion?
Well, I guess I'd go back to then, it sounds like, and I'm speaking for myself, I see the need, I appreciate and understand the situation. Personally, I'd like to have some clearer numbers in front of us before we make this decision, because, and I don't think waiting and having staff get some numbers, because we don't know what asbestos abatement's gonna run. We just have really no idea what this thing is going to cost, and maybe an argument can be made, it doesn't change the decision, but if we're gonna eat a $40,000 bill here on a $10,000 piece of property that won't even sell for that, I think we need to understand what we're getting into.
Ron?
Don, yeah, Don, I've seen in small communities where they're buying up some property and there's a grant out there to demo those properties. I know in my hometown, Grettinger, that they bought up some and demoed properties, and there was some grant money out there for that. I don't know if Adam would be able to check into that on something like that for properties like that, you know. We may not qualify, it might
No, I
because of
think unfortunately we're too
big,
too big.
that's
but
what I wondered, if it was a size of the community too.
There's certainly no rush. You know, maybe somebody will hear this discussion and say, I can rehab it,
Right.
and you can consider that, but
Has this been out for pay the back taxes and somebody can come in and pay the back taxes and own it?
yes, this process of converting the tax, excuse me, the process of converting the tax certificate to deed means that we have to notify anybody in the family we can find and the county. And there could be, if somebody wanted to pay 7 years' worth of taxes and penalties, they could redeem it.
So there's really no other way of getting this house available to sell to a normal person without probably paying a lot more than what it's worth?
That's right. It's a bad situation.
Find a normal person.
Well, but could
Yeah,
the,
that might
we're
have been
gonna
really
do that
bad word.
Yeah,
can the county agree to abate these fees for a private developer?
Yes, they could.
I think this
any other,
gets chalked up to one of those things that, we're just stuck.
Yeah.
I mean, we
We-
can get numbers.
we have a motion on the table to approve this. Tom made the motion, Donovan seconded the motion. Do you want to withdraw the motion and table it?
I don't wanna withdraw myself.
I don't, I just,
Okay.
I mean, I get it, I understand. I mean, I don't wanna go and spend 40 or whatever grand either. Brian, I'm totally with you. But once the numbers are in front of us, I don't know that anything's gonna change, is we're gonna have to, instead of not having any definitive numbers laying in front of us and voting yes or no, we're gonna have definitive numbers in front of us and vote yes. Because we gotta get rid of it.
So we have
That's-
approximate numbers, not definitive numbers
Right.
at this point.
Right.
Yeah. And I guess if we get it and then we think of something creative, if, you know, if somebody thinks that they can, we can always put it that option. I mean, before we put it out for demolition.
Right, yeah, this wouldn't be the
This one's-
absolute final.
No, this would just say that we're starting the process, because like you said, if it's 120 days, we're starting to get into March, we're starting to get back into that spring time frame. Yeah, I see the benefits of going, do I like it? No, but Sometimes you have to do it.
Okay, any other discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
Nay.
The ayes have it, the motion carries. Item B is a resolution authorizing the internal advance for funding of urban renewal project.
Make that motion.
Motion made by Brian,
I'll second that.
second by Ron. Any discussion? Please vote by machine.
Nelson, I. Larson, I. Wunschel, I. Hanson, I. Reed, I. Bulk, I.
Okay, item 8, department head reports. Planning Department. Adam.
Good evening again, Mayor and Council. The October permit is out for your eyes. And I guess a couple new highlights on that would be a new office building as well as a new duplex. The department completed the 2022 East Side Forest tree trimming this past month, accumulated 6 properties, a step up from last year. Department is currently in search of a sidewalk and snow removal contractor for the 2022-2023 winter season, with applications due mid-November. Staffing wise, with interviews completed, the department has an accepted offer for the building services official position to replace myself. And then other than that, the department is performing inspections as they come in, along with assisting the developmental needs of the community. Any questions?
Adam, can you provide us with an update to the Caskey Trailer Park and where we're at?
Yes, in reference to, well, it currently, what I have in front of me currently has 11 units have power reestablished. And depending on if, with their billing situation, per inspection, 11 have it restored, but per billing would be on the SMU side of things. And we do have the November 1st deadline with the property owner, and we're assessing those reports.
Okay. Any other questions? Thanks, Adam.
You bet.
Library, Sarah Beth.
October was a pretty busy month for the library. We had a few cold days and flashbacks to last winter without working boilers, but we called in the boiler fairies, and things have warmed back up. So I'm not saying there aren't still issues with those boilers, but for now, we're getting by. 5 staff members attended the Iowa Library Association's annual conference last month, where the focus was on equitable accessibility. The library also hosted 2 receptions to celebrate our expanded Spanish and business collections, and these were made possible through the Clay County Community Foundation grant. We enlightened our patrons with a couple of cool programs, the SOAR Live Raptors and Stargazing with the Sanford Planetarium. We also partnered with the Spencer Community Theater on their annual costume contest last Saturday, or 2 Saturdays ago. We've got a new glow in the library. It is our Lettuce Grow farm stand. It's an indoor self-watering farm stand, and that was donated to us through Kiwanis International as well as the Daybreakers Kiwanis Club here in Spencer. And the Lettuce Grow company itself also tries to get these placed around the communities. I know Megan Jones has been, I think, working on getting one in Primgar schools and YMCA as well. Just been really, really fun to watch it grow just within 3 weeks, how big they got. We had our first harvest on Friday, and we were able to give away some kale and cilantro and spinach in our little free pantry, so definitely cool. This coming month, this November, some cool programs to look forward to. A one-woman musical this Saturday at 2:30 called Oh, Jackie O, about the life of Jackie Kennedy Onassis, performed by Jillian Gabriel. And then this coming Monday with the Kids No School Day, we are going to have the Star Lab there. And Bree from the County Naturalist, Bree, the county naturalist, is coming to do the programs inside. Well, we need people to register for half-hour time slots between 10 and 2:30. But it's an inflatable, portable planetarium, and you do have to go, you have to sit on the floor if you want to go inside. But then you'll learn about the constellations and stars and stuff. So that is this coming Monday, the 14th. And last but not least, of course, Spencer Reads. Here's your update. Tomorrow is our next Together We Read event. So tomorrow at 10 a.m. for 15 minutes, we're asking everybody to drop everything and read, post a selfie on social media with the hashtag Spencer Reads. And again, of course, if you can't do it at 10 o'clock, anytime during the day. And we're just really enjoying seeing everybody participate in those things. So. Do you have any questions about the library?
I don't have a question, but thanks for stealing some of my thunder on the mayor's report on the Spencer Reads, but that's okay. That's okay. All good. It's been a long time since I attended Story Hour at the library. But what was it? A couple of weeks ago, I attended the reception that Sarah Beth and the library put on for the Spanish English Story Hour. And I was really impressed.
Yeah.
Really impressed. A lot of kids, very enthusiastic, and it was neat to see how the kids reacted to the English and then to the Spanish. So,
Yeah.
very good.
They absorb a lot more than
Yeah.
we give them credit for.
Yeah,
but-
and my easy bit of Spanish helped a little tiny bit, but it was really good. It was really fun to see how
I'm glad you
excited
enjoyed
the
it.
kids were.
I was really excited to see the turnout that day too.
Yeah,
So.
it was really good. Good
We also
turnout.
have a really neat political button display in our case at the library on loan from Mayor Baumgars himself. So
Oh, yeah,
if you'd like
Thanks
to
for the plug.
check that out. Yeah.
shameless.
And don't
Thank-
forget to vote.
Yeah, right. And thanks for stealing another piece of the mayor's report.
I was gonna say, I
You
could
want
keep
the
going.
next one too?
You wanna thank the veterans and we'll be done.
And Donovan got the
Thank you,
third.
veterans.
Strike three. Okay. It's all good.
All right.
All good. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
No, you won't. Okay. Fire Department Chief Conyon.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, and Manager. Your Spencer Fire Department answered 71 calls last month. The month of October happens to be a month of fire prevention for many. So I'm going to go a little bit backwards. Fire prevention, driver-operator Steve Grimius is our fire prevention officer, and a bunch of us volunteered to help him toe the line. We visited over 15 schools and had 15 different visits with children of all ages, from 6th grade down to pre-K. Having the idea of instilling the desire to be of public service, of safety, of the desire of the color red, of courage, of leadership, of service to all. It really meant something. Our special duties, we had 6. We went to trick or trunk, we went to trick or treat. We did a football standby, and yeah, we did Spencer Reads. And our Spencer Reads program, I never found out how all our department heads had so much input as to what I should read to children. I won't repeat what it was, but the class enjoyed it. Lastly, on our special duty, we had a fire engine push-in ceremony. For those that made it, you saw it, and you saw the tradition, and you saw the teamwork and effort put forth by many, and I thought that was a very great thing. Reverting back to what we do, we answered over 28 calls of EMS service for difficulty breathing, seizures, diabetic reaction, fall victims, fires. false alarms, cooking malfunctions, cooking that bacon a little bit longer than you should have. False alarms by having dust or construction debris, traffic fluid cleanup, gas leaks, also an outhouse fire. Imagine that. Our ambulance 104, we had fall victims again, stomach pains and chest pains. Our special training this month was our grain bin and grain bin rescue techniques. Once again, in our area and our area farmers, so we can be more at the ready for them. Lastly, I'd like to thank my fellow veterans as we get ready for 11/11. And it really means something if you've been a service member, and to put forth and recognize what a great country we are. So I really appreciate it. Any questions? All right.
Thanks, Chief. Chief Warburton is not here tonight, so we'll move on to Public Works. Mark?
Good evening. The pleasant fall weather has allowed the construction projects to work a little longer than normal. You would have seen the street division working with the SMU crews, and they work very well together on the SMU water main project on West 4th Street and 14th Avenue West. We had several maintenance projects at the airport, just kind of a bunch that kind of got it at all at one time, painted the parking lot, installed the entryway, had to paint that as well. There was some building repairs, seal it by the buildings, just kind of a list. Getting ready for winter. Lead Public Works staff attended a snow and ice event that was sponsored by the Iowa DOT. It was pretty nice. It was in Spencer. It was one of the locations. So kind of up on some of the latest trends there. Installed snow fence, stocked the salt and sand. Another thing you'll notice around town, the markers on some of the street areas where maybe the curb goes in to alert the plow operators that there's a change in the street configuration. Also, we mark manholes that are hard to find in the winter, service the snow equipment, put the scrapers on, just getting ready for that season as much as we don't want to. It's right around the corner. A lot of work at the tree site. As you can imagine, that's a pretty popular place this time of year with the lawn and leaf cleanup. My wife and I went out there late because, I'm always behind on a lot of stuff, like 7 o'clock, and it was dark. I'm like, nobody will be out there. No, there's about 4 other people dumping leaves in the dark as well, so pretty popular. The street sweepers have been working as well, cleaning up the leaves. Would also like to mention that the RCC is closed for the season at the Solid Waste Division, but if you have any household hazardous waste, just call the Solid Waste Division and they can help you out by appointment. And wastewater treatment plant rehab projects getting close to the end. DeLoss Construction poured the driveway there. That's a nice improvement. The seeding is done and getting ready for the next season.
Any questions for Mark?
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, and we now welcome to the mic in his inaugural report, new Parks and Recreation Director, Bob Fullhart. A lot of pressure.
Yeah, you bet. Well, I'll keep it pretty short and sweet up here. Really the biggest thing coming up that we have going on right now is we're going to start with a pretty decent sized ash tree removal project going on over by West Lane, Prospect Lane, and Pleasant Lane. So that section over there, it really give us a chance to kind of gauge how quickly we can kind of move through some of these ash trees in different areas. Beyond that, the guys have been out just getting everything ready for fall, getting everything cleaned up, getting irrigation shut off, getting all that stuff taken care of, pool taken down, shut off for the season. Had a quick meeting this week with the engineers, with David Lockey with Stockwell Engineer. Just a good refresher for me to get kind of caught up on some of the stuff that you guys have already seen out there. And then also we met earlier in the week, last week, with the school, getting back on board with the tennis project with them. So still a lot of stuff that's just in the very early phases, mostly to get me kind of caught up with some of the stuff you guys have already heard, and we can just kind of get some of those projects up and rolling again. We had the ribbon cutting for the rocket slide. A lot of you were able to attend that. It was a great opportunity. Saw a lot of people out there, and the amount of kids using it has just been tremendous. So it's really kind of cool to see that they're out there utilizing that right now.
Okay. Any questions for Bob? Thank you. Golf course, Brian?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. It's been a busy month at the golf course. The weather was pretty nice, so we've been able to get a lot of our projects rolling and completed. Probably one of the biggest ones was the installation of the new well pump and casing. That was completed on October 20th, and we started the well that day. And by the end of the month, we had pumped 4,750,000 gallons of water into the pond, which we've been using to irrigate the golf course as much as we possibly can. So it's been nice to have that available to us. I was not expecting it to happen this season yet. So we've been getting the fairways irrigated again. We're starting to see a lot of green grass coming in those areas. So that's a nice change from the Dust Bowl rock hard runways where people are hitting 400-yard drives over and over. But that was a nice one to get done. Touching a little bit on the emerald ash borer as well. We've had the contractor out. We've removed 7 large ash trees on the golf course, and staff has removed 7 smaller ones, all that were infested with the EAB. We still have a few more left to get off the golf course, and then next year we will start treating the remainder of the healthy ash trees moving forward. And then lastly, at the golf board meeting tonight, the golf board voted on some rate changes for 2023. One of those will be the season passes. They will increase between 3% and 4% for next year, so it's not a very large dollar amount. We've tried to spread things a little bit across the board to make it easy for everything. We will allow anyone to purchase their 2023 season pass at the current rates as long as they get it done before the end of the month of December. Any questions?
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
City Attorney's report, Don?
Thank you, Mayor. October was a fairly typical month, about 31 hours involved in city work. The top 3 activities involved completing easement acquisition for 6th Avenue East. We now finally this week have all of those, so we're set to go in terms of property interests on that project. I worked with Adam and Anna on the mobile home park, and we'll be working on that again this week. And we did complete the purchase of the Northway Gateway property that you'd agreed to purchase. That property is now owned by the city, so ready to proceed with development.
Okay. Any questions for Don? Thank you, Don. Human Resources, Jessica.
Good evening. The month of October, some things that I've worked on include running the annual DOT record queries for all of our, excuse me, CDL drivers. Frog in my throat this evening, I apologize, not COVID. So all of those drivers were clear, which we always like to see. We conducted our annual hearing tests, good results, no OSHA recordables, so we also like that. I met with the Spencer Community Americans with Disabilities Advocacy Group to gain a better understanding of the work that they're doing in the Spencer community. I'm working with City Manager on ADA compliance for the public entities. So we'll be moving forward with that, and their group that just does wonderful advocacy work across the community, and I just want to really encourage them to keep that going, and it would dovetail nicely into the public access ADA work that we'll be doing. We held a flu shot clinic last month. 17 city staff and their family members came in. Nobody cried this year, so that was a bonus. City staff are at 299 days since we last lost days due to an injury. So we're coming up on the 1-year mark, which is always great. Our safety training this last month was lockout, tag out. And I can lock the files if I need to and tag them out in the HR department. Our recruiting efforts included filling the 911 dispatcher position. Bonnie Hagedorn joined the comm unit, and so we want to welcome Bonnie. She's a great addition to the team. Julie Bremer will be retiring in December, so we're sad to see Julie go, but we will be opening one more position. I just don't have the shift schedule yet, probably later this week. We've filled the full-time landfill equipment operator 2 position. That incoming hire will start on the 21st. And as Adam mentioned, the incoming building services official that backfills his promotion, they'll start on the 28th. So with that, we'll just have the dispatcher position open, and that'll be our only opening. So if anyone is interested, on our careers page, we have an application, so spread the word. I also attended the high school career fair. It was really fun. Chief Conyon came and Officer Hanson stopped by. Of course, he's always a good person to spread the word because he's in the school system, which is fabulous. But it was really great to see the interest among the students stopping by our booth. I wasn't sure how it would go, but it was great. It was a lot of interest in, oh, so you'll train me to be an officer, So that was good to spread the word about, it's a really valuable and beneficial community protection, law enforcement, fire department. We also let them know about the dispatch positions for those that don't want to be out in the front lines. It's a very important position. So it was great to spread the word, and I appreciated them holding that event. Any questions for me?
Any questions? Thank you, Jessica.
Thank you.
Okay, item 9, engineers report. Ross.
Good evening, everyone. A quick project update, some of the construction we have going on. Up at the Iowa Lakes property, the North Water Quality Project, the curb and gutter was poured in the north cell last week by CG Contracting. I think they're planning to pour the south cell curb and gutter on Wednesday, hopefully before the weather turns pretty cold. Otherwise, with that project, there's some mulch to put in and some plantings to do in the bottom of those detention cells up there, and that project will be complete. As Mark mentioned earlier, on the 14th Avenue West water and sewer project, the underground work and concrete work have both been completed. Joints were sealed on the concrete today, and backfilling was completed also today, so the street and driveway pavements are now all open for use. So that portion of that project is complete. As another portion of that project, Woodland Avenue was closed at Highway 18 last week. We did a water main relocation for the box culvert that's going to get replaced down there, and that street's been opened. It was open at the end of last week also. On the 25th Street and 11th Avenue Southwest Sewer Extension Project, Valley Contracting started that project last week. They were able to get about 250 feet of sanitary sewer installed and one of the first manholes there. Soil conditions are pretty favorable with the dry conditions. They haven't encountered hardly any groundwater at this point. They did have to leave to go do some work at the hospital to keep that project moving along. We're hoping by the end of the week they'll be ready to go back out to the sewer project. It is their intention to continue working on that job. The 10-day forecast looks a little cool, so we're hoping some of those temperatures will turn around. If temperatures continue to stay in that with highs right at freezing, it's really going to slow them down, I would say. And so, but they said they'll keep working until they're pretty well froze out. So. We hope they can get down the line quite a ways yet. The other thing, the East 4th Street reconstruction project, final plans have been submitted to the DOT for that job, and we're set for a January letting. Informational letters were sent out to the property owners last week in that project location, so we have received some calls already and are ready to answer questions from the public about that. Last thing, I guess, is over at the hospital. I guess in the city right away, right now 3rd Avenue East is closed between East 11th Street and East 12th Street, and that's for a new water service to be installed to the hospital utility building. Otherwise, right now on that project, the contractor's working on the standalone ambulance garage that's been being replaced, and also reconstructing the utility tunnel between the utility building and the hospital itself. So that project is progressing. We're hoping to have 3rd Avenue East open probably at the beginning of next week. So, any questions right now?
Any questions? Thanks, Ross.
Thank you.
City managers report. Dan?
I have several things. As somebody mentioned the North White Gateway project. We do own that property now. There's been a lot of back and forth between the city, the engineers, and the potential developer on the north end of that. It seems to be going pretty smooth at the moment. No big hurdles. As Bob mentioned, the Stockwell engineers were here to talk about the WOW projects and aquatic center, splash pad, potential campground relocation. It was good to get updated since I wasn't here when that first was presented. I was able to ask some questions, especially about the aquatic center, and I think we're moving in a good direction there to evaluate where we need to go with that. Also, Eric Tigas was here. We did a mock disaster drill, tabletop drill on a fake tornado hitting town, and I was really impressed with the way the department heads dealt with that, and feeling pretty safe right now with the way everybody is able to do their jobs. We've with the flood disasters we've got pretty good at dealing with disasters, so practice is always good. We also have been getting weekly updates from Simrise on the smell on the west side of town. They seem to be working pretty well at moving along as quickly as they can with that. We had them here in person and discussed it with them, and again made it very clear that we need this fixed as soon as possible. And later on this week, we're meeting with virtually with the engineers that are doing the first phase of the Green Industrial Park flood zone area. They've completed the first phase and they're going to present that to us. I believe it's Thursday. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for Dan?
Dan, in relation to Simrise, what are our options to speed that process up? I appreciate what they're doing internally, but I think there's a lot of growing concern about what's going on out there.
They seem to be moving about as quickly as they can. I think our options, if we made this very clear, that if political pressure got too high, that we could move into the penalty phase, and it would involve municipal infractions at first, and moving through that process. It would start costing them some money if we decided to move that way. I think it's not something we could go shut their business down right away to get the smell to go away, but we'd have to go through the court system to be able to do that, to give them municipal infractions on that. But that being said, they seem to be genuinely trying and they're relying on the supply chain. I think they're 10 weeks out or something for the cover for the tank. They've already completed the filters for some of their processes. That should help some. But I think they are counting on the cover for the tank being the fix, which is 10 to 12 weeks out.
And I don't think any of us necessarily, I assume none of us necessarily have an appetite, but I mean, a municipal infraction, is that going to speed the process up? I mean, I believe we're having people out in that area having potential health issues related to this, from what I'm being told.
I don't know whether it necessarily speeds it up. Sometimes when you get into the court system, it may actually slow it down.
There's truth to that, I guess. Okay. Well, I'm sure we are, but I cannot stress the importance of probably getting this situation resolved and quickly. And if there's anything that they can be doing on their end, even if at higher cost, I ask that they do so.
Okay, thanks, Brian. Anyone else? Any other questions for Dan? Okay, under the mayor's report, the topics have all been broached on the mayor's report already, but I'll just re-emphasize a couple of things. First of all, Sarah Beth mentioned the Spencer Reads program, and I would encourage city employees and citizens of Spencer to stop what they're doing tomorrow, if at all possible, and read from 10 to 10:15 with the hashtag, and post it on social media with the hashtag Spencer Reads. And I think I mentioned this quote last time we talked about Spencer Reed's, but it became apparent to me again earlier in October when we were down in Kansas City at the Harry Truman Library, and Harry Truman has a quote about reading. He was a voracious reader, and Harry Truman's quote is that not all readers are leaders, but all leaders are readers. So I think we can be good examples for our young people by showing them the importance of reading at all times. Secondly, it's already been mentioned that Veterans Day is November 11th. That's the day that we honor those that are presently serving and those that have served in our nation's military. And to all of the vets in this room, and I know we have several, and all of those listening or watching, on behalf of the citizens of Spencer, we thank you for your service to our country. And then the third thing, and I think this was also mentioned, Tuesday, tomorrow, November 8th, is Election Day, and talking to Councilman Balk before the meeting, I think he voted today. And you were what, the
2411.
2411. So that means there are several people that still have to vote tomorrow or have the opportunity to vote tomorrow. The polls open at 7 o'clock. They close at 8 p.m. Voting takes place in Spencer at the Events Center. And please take advantage of this fundamental responsibility and right for the privilege of living in this great country. So that's all I have for the mayor's report. So item 12, council and committee reports. Dan.
We got a committee of the whole meeting to do my evaluation on 11/9, Wednesday, 6 p.m. There's a Northwest Iowa League of Cities meeting in Holstein on 11/17, and Brian's gonna try to schedule a finance committee meeting in the next week or so.
And if you want to attend that Northwest Iowa League meeting, I think Mary Beth will make those arrangements, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Item 13, motion to approve the bills and claims.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Brian.
Second.
Second by Donovan. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Item 14, other business or opportunity to address the council. Seeing none, we'll proceed to item 15, which I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion made by Donovan, second by Tracy. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Meeting adjourned.